2019, I spent 3 months in Japan. And it wasn't the first time I ever went to Japan, actually. I actually went back in 2017. And I'm ashamed to admit I didn't really make the most of that trip. The best thing I did was go to Tokyo Disneyland, Tokyo Disney Sea, and a day at Universal Studios in Osaka. I was really shy and timid, and I was afraid to really do anything. When I got back home, while I was proud of myself for going, I was also just really frustrated with myself. You know, life's what you make it, and I did not make that trip worthwhile. So, fast forward about a year, I want to go back, and I want to do it right. So for this trip, I actually decided I would enroll in a language school, and I decided I would go to Kyoto. The biggest difference between this trip and the last one, that one was only 2 weeks. This time I'd be going 3 months and actually had a plan. I knew what I wanted to do, I knew where I was going to go, and I'd be going to a language school, and I'd be meeting new people and hopefully having a much better time than my first trip. My first day in Japan, I moved into my apartment. It was small, but that's all I really needed. Those first few days before class started, all I did was explore the city, and I just had a great time. You know, I was actually going out to restaurants, and I was actually, experiencing more of Japan in the first few days this trip than I did the entirety of my first trip. The language school itself was great. The actual school was pretty difficult. I lived up to my reputation as the dumb American in the class. We actually got to go on a couple of field trips. One, we made our own, traditional Japanese fans. And then we went to this really interesting experience, I want to say. Not much really happened. They just sort of gave us free drinks, and we watched this little show, went into a room, and wherever you walked, the floors would react. I also did end up skipping school one day to go to Universal Studios. What can I say, man? I love theme parks. So one thing I really want to talk about is Universal Studios in Osaka. That place is amazing. Now, I don't have any theme parks anywhere near where I live, so anytime I go to one, it's just this kind of magical experience, and I love it. I love theme parks, and Universal Studios is amazing. I spent most of my time bouncing back and forth between the Jurassic Park area and the Harry Potter area, because I love those two franchises so much, and it's just amazing kind of being engrossed in those areas. Like walking around Hogsmeade is just a really awesome experience, and I actually had one of those wands that you could use to do magic, and I loved it, and I loved being there. And the Jurassic Park area, so cool, especially when they bring some dinosaurs out that they would walk around. If you ever get the opportunity to go, I would highly recommend it. That place is awesome. The rest of my trip was spent going to school, exploring Kyoto and Osaka, and traveling around the area. I spent a lot of time just walking around, listening to audiobooks, and I really had a great time. I actually fell back in love with reading while I was in Japan, and me and my pal from Norway both bought copies of Star Wars Heir of the Empire in Japanese. I also got this beautiful copy of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and it's probably my favorite thing I bought while I was there. One day while I was in Osaka, I actually saw a celebrity. The last few days that I was there were really bittersweet. I was looking forward to going home and seeing my family, but I was going to miss Japan a lot. The days I spent in Japan were probably the most blissful of my life so far. I didn't have to worry about going to work. The only thing I had to worry about when I was there was what I was going to do that day. And one thing I loved to do every night was to pop on an audiobook and go for really long walks down the river. And that was probably my favorite thing that I did almost every single day. And I even recorded this video on my last night. Kind of sad, this is a last walk down by the river at night in Kyoto. Take a video and, cherish the moment forever. This is so stupid. I headed back to my apartment one last time, and the next day, I was off back to Osaka. Osaka was my real last day in Japan. I had to be up early the next day for my flight, but I made sure to hit a couple of last tourist spots that I always wanted to visit. And then just like that, my 3 months in Japan was over. Going to Japan really helped me kickstart getting my life together. Since being back home, I started going back to school, and I've been going consistently now for over a year. It really helped me prove to myself that if I want to do something, I can do it. The only thing stopping me is me.